friends. I'm your host, Erin Port, and welcome to the Simple Purposeful Living podcast. Life can be overwhelming and busy, so once a week, I invite you to join me, and together we will make simple tweaks to uncomplicate the hard parts of our life so we can spend more time doing what we love. Welcome to this season's 10 Simple Saving Graces, the quarterly roundup of the little things that make life better right now for us. These are the small joys, the tiny tweaks, and the everyday helpers I'm personally loving. The things in my life that make life 100 times easier, or maybe just a little bit brighter or better. Even though oftentimes these little saving graces fly under the radar, I'm sharing them with you not only because they'll change your life, no, not really, but because noticing and naming what helps us makes us more intentional about doing them. I always say awareness is your superpower. And the more that we can become aware of the things that help us, that bring us joy, that make us happy, that make us more productive, that make us feel rested, the more that we can actively pursue those items with intention. And that is so powerful because it takes a life where we feel like we're kind of just stuck to a life where we're like, no, we have power and choice to make these changes, these tiny tweaks, and incorporating these things that matter to us. And maybe, just maybe, you'll hear something today that sparks a small shift or helps you spot your own saving graces in your life. Every so often, I share these saving graces here on the podcast, but I actually share even more of them in my weekly email to my email subscribers because I love a good word of mouth recommendation. So if you're not on my email list, I have included the link below. Go ahead and click and sign up. I send one weekly email every Saturday morning. It's called the Saturday Scroll. It literally is like a friend letter. I just write down some things that we've been doing, some things you might have missed, a tweak that I have implemented this week, some saving graces, and some updates on the podcast, all of those sorts of things. So you'll want to make sure you sign up. It is a well-loved, highly opened email. And I love that. So come join us, or you can go to simplepurposefulliving.com/email to sign up and come be a part of the Saturday Scroll. Okay, so let's get to the 10 saving graces that I have come up with for this season. And I actually did this in the summer season too. I went back and looked at those notes. I had a few overlaps. So I was like, okay, I won't mention them again. But I will link the last some saving graces episode too. You guys love these. And I love doing them with you. So number 1, phone alarms. Now, you might think of an alarm as what gets you up in the morning, but I use them for everything. So if you go into your clock app on your phone, at least for iPhone users, I'm going to open up my phone and do this with you so that I can explain how it works. You go to your clock app and you're going to go to the alarms at the bottom. And then you can click the plus sign and you can add any time you want. So for me, I might choose today 2:45. And I'm going to say I want to repeat that. And right now it's clicked as never, but you're going to click on that and you can choose what days you want it to remind you. So I'm going to choose Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday at 2:45. Then once you click that, you'll go back and then it says label. And right now it's defaulted to name it alarm, but I might name it something like 15-minute warning till the kids get home. And I love having an alarm 15 minutes before the kids get home because that helps me wrap up my work, maybe take a quick commute walk around the neighborhood and be ready to greet them well. But it also might be other times I might use an alarm is if I have to pick up a kid from school. Every Thursday I have to pick up Vera at school. So I set an alarm 15 minutes before I have to leave so that I remember to go get her. Especially in the beginning, when you have new schedules, setting alarms just takes the brain work out of it. Your brain isn't constantly saying, what time do I have to be there? Is it time to go yet? Have I missed a kid, right? You just have alarms and they are so helpful. I also love doing alarms as like a little mini sticky note. If you have something that you want to accomplish maybe tomorrow, I've got my husband to start doing this. He'll set an alarm, name it. And so when it goes off at like say 10 o'clock tomorrow, he'll remember, oh, I got to email that person. And it's super helpful. So do not sleep on phone alarms. They are a saving grace, especially in shifting seasons. Set alarms for everything. It's great. Okay, number 2. This is so small, you guys. You might even laugh at me, but this is the power of a tiny tweak. I'm telling you, every kid has their own laundry basket. I know. You're probably like, okay, Erin, duh. But what for whatever reason, we had gotten down to like having two or three laundry baskets. And I was like, you know what would be really helpful is we were just having a hard time getting laundry to the laundry room, taking it upstairs to their bedrooms. We never had laundry baskets where we needed them, all of those sorts of things. So I went to Target and I bought us a bunch of, I think they were less than I even thought. I think they were like these little square white laundry baskets. I want to say they were $4. And I bought four of them for the kids. We have one that fits in our closet perfectly that I kept for Scott and I. And now they all have a laundry basket in the room. They can bring their laundry down. They put their laundry in their basket in the room, theoretically, and then they can take their laundry back up to their room. It is just so simple. We oftentimes will do laundry by person. It's not foolproof, but that's often what we do, especially with the older kids. Sometimes we'll put Lucille and Quincy together because their clothes are still so small. But Scott and I will wash our clothes together. Then we usually wash Quincy and Lucille's clothes together. Then Vera does her own laundry. We normally help Solon by putting his in the washer and the dryer, but he folds his own as well. Um, he can do it as himself too. Vera just chooses to do it herself, which is great. But having everybody have their own laundry basket has just been like one of those things that you're like, wow, I didn't realize how much my life would be made easier just by doing that. So that's the power of a tiny tweak. It could be so simple and so small. But is there something that you're just like baring your teeth and just like, oh, this is so annoying when you're like, I could just buy the item? I don't know why I am the way I am, but I am. So go buy yourself or your kids some laundry baskets. It's been a saving grace. Number 3, interlibrary loan and my save for later list on Amazon. Okay, so we live in a small town. Our library is fantastic. Shout out to the librarians. I went there and wrote most of my upcoming book over the summer there. I love them to pieces, but it's a smaller library, which means we just don't have as many books in my genre that I love, which is the rom-com series. But what is great and what I love is they can get any book from any library and it takes like a week. So what I'll do is you guys give me recommendations. I put them in my save for later. So I'll put it like in my cart, quote unquote, but then I'll put it in my save for later. So I have this list on my Amazon app. Could I have it in a notes app on my phone? Yep. Could I have it somewhere else? Yep. Does this work? Yes. And remember, we don't tweak what's not broken. So this works for me. I have these books that I want to read, and I just slowly but surely will go to the interlibrary loan. Every time I go to the library, I ask for a couple more books to be loaned from other libraries. And so I'll go up and I'll pick the next two books in my save for later list on Amazon. They order them through interlibrary loan. I delete them on my save for later list. And then they show up. I get a little email about 7 days later. So that has been working great for me. Again, I love buying books. I love supporting authors. And sometimes I will buy them, especially if it's like a brand new book, and the interlibrary loan doesn't always work the best if it's a brand new book. And then I'll share it with my friends. But I do like utilizing the library, having less book clutter, and being able to save some money as well. So if you're not using your interlibrary loan, just because your library doesn't have it doesn't mean you can't get it. Most libraries, I think, if not all libraries, work with other libraries to get books. So it has been a saving grace because I can read lots of books my library doesn't actually have. Okay, number 4, white space. It's funny because I talk about this in my upcoming book. I am giving so many spoilers. Do not tell my publishing house. But I was reading my book last week, and it was so funny because this happens in seasons where we went from summer to fall, and it just really ramps up the speed and the pace of life, right? And I was working way less in the summer, and now with the book launch coming, I'm not only running Simple Purposeful Living, but it feels like in many ways this book launch is kind of like a second full-time gig, which is awesome, and I love doing it. But it just means it's a different season, and something I started to really crave is white space. And what do I mean by that? So I share this story in the book. Don't tell anybody. But if you've ever been to the Louvre in Paris and seen the Mona Lisa, she's surprisingly small, like really small. Like I came all the way to Paris to see her. I'm sorry, that's not very nice, Mona Lisa. But if you've been, you understand. She's like this teeny tiny little picture on this huge blank wall. And the reason I'm sure, not being an art aficionado, but I'm sure they're doing this for a purpose, is so that all of the focus is on the Mona Lisa. Nothing else distracting you. And we just need this buffer so that she really shines. And I feel like in our life, white space can allow moments to really shine, to just give us a buffer, to give us some space to just breathe and pause so we're not so hurried and haggard. And so I'm intentionally looking for white space. And if you're like me and your schedule is full, it might mean being silent in the car, turning off the radio, not listening to a voice text from a friend, just sitting in the car in silence on the way to picking up a kid. Or it might be when you go out on your walk, not listening to anything, not taking your phone, or if you need to for safety reasons, but not listening to music, just walking in nature. Or just sitting in silence in your house while you're working, or whatever it is. But I'm telling you, that white space, that silence has been so helpful and calming my soul. And what oftentimes happens is when we feel rushed or feel hurried or we feel like we have a lot of things on our plate, that white space, our brain actually uses it to process things in the background. So things that you might not even be actively thinking about will come to mind and your brain will start to process it in the white space. So while you think, I'm just sitting here in the silence doing nothing, it's a waste of time. It actually is very purposeful in allowing your brain to process all of the things, to slow down the train, to make you aware of things, which is so helpful in an intentional life. So, if you're like me and craving a little white space, just be looking for it. Where can you sit in silence? Can you eat quietly at your desk? Can you go for a walk around the block quietly? Like you said, can you be in the car by yourself? Being in the shower with no music? I mean, there is a quote that says, the best thinking I ever do is in the shower. And it's because literally we have white space to just sit and not do anything but shower, right? So I would encourage you to consider white space. It's been a saving grace for me. Okay, number 5, decluttering bin. Okay, I actually was on Hello Iowa last week and they asked me to bring some tiny tweaks that make life 100 times easier in the fall. And I said, get yourself a decluttering bin because it never fails. Kids will come up dressed for the day. It's the first kind of chilly day and they'll put on their pants and they look like high waters. You're like, oh, those are more of like a golf knicker than your sweatpants. And so what will happen if you don't have a decluttering bin is the kids will take off their sweatpants and they'll either leave them right where they dropped them, which is very common at our house, or worse yet, they'll stick them in the dirty pile in the laundry room. You'll wash them, they'll go back in their drawer, and you will repeat the cycle. Ugh. Not only is it frustrating because they have to get dressed again, it's frustrating because you're having the same conversation again, and it just makes life more complicated than it needs to be. Enter the decluttering bin. It's a bin, a box. We used like a box that came in the mail. I think it was from Target. I folded down all the sides so it just, is open on top, and it's in our garage. And anytime something like this happens where the kids are like, oh, my pants don't fit. Oh, my shorts too don't fit. Oh, this is looking pretty worn, but somebody else can maybe enjoy it, or I've outgrown it, or this decor item I'm not going to use this fall for decorating. It all goes in the decluttering bin. And when it gets full, then I take it to donation. But it's giving clutter a place to go that's not in your house, taking up room before it leaves your house. So can't recommend the decluttering bin enough. Okay, number 6. I got lucky on this one because I got so much feedback on Instagram that I chose wisely. And as I tell my kids, sometimes it's better be lucky than good. I mean, you just, but it's the 1-to-1 baking flour by Bob's Red Mill. And you guys know that in April, I started a new anti-inflammatory diet because I was having some ongoing symptoms I just could not get rid of. And so I started to see a new practitioner. And as part of the protocol, along with supplements and injections and IVs and other things, I'm feeling a lot better. But I am still gluten-free, dairy-free, and mostly refined sugar-free. And I have noticed I feel a lot better for those of you asking. But it's been the gluten piece. I can go a lot without gluten. And actually, I don't love a lot of the gluten-free bread options that are available. They're just really chewy. They're very dry. I feel like I need to drink like a whole lot of water when I'm eating them. But in the fall, there's something you need to know about me. I love to bake. I don't know what it is about the fall. I like crave Gilmore Girls and, like John Denver songs and baking. Okay, I'm basic. What can I say? But I was like, I want to enjoy some of these things that I'm baking for my family. So I picked up this baking flour by Bob's Red Mill. It is a gluten-free bread flour. You cannot taste the difference. So I made my kids' absolute favorite banana chocolate chip bread. Sorry, chocolate. Yeah, I said that right. It's in our simple purposeful kitchen cookbook. You can use code podcast to get 10% off. It is a fan favorite banana bread recipe, but I just literally it calls for 2 cups of flour instead of regular flour. I just used this 1-for-1 bread flour. I didn't tell anybody in my family. I never tell them because I'm like, I just am curious if they'll notice. Because, if you know, you're going to like tell yourself, you know. Do you know what I mean? And so, anyway, nobody said a word. And so I told my daughter Vera, who's 14, she was like scrunching, she loves this bread. And so she was eating it one morning and I said, how do you think it tastes? She goes, it's amazing, just like it always is. And I said, it was gluten-free. And her eyes, she was like, no, no. And I thought the same thing. I literally texture, taste. The only slight variation is my Vera or my Lucille, who's 10, said, I think it looks a little bit lighter. That's the only difference anybody could tell. So we are going to be using this going forward. I'm going to be trying it with some other things moving forward, and I will keep you posted. But I just got it at my local grocery store. Somebody said the Great Value version is also great. But I really am very happy with it. And so check that out. Bob's Red Mill 1-to-1 baking flour. And I also will link that in the show notes as well. But it'll probably be cheaper to get it somewhere locally. Okay, number 7 is another product. I was putting on my tennis shoes the other day and I realized I have worn the darndest out of these Brooks tennis shoes. I love them. So you might not know, but I tore my MCL. The ACL is on the outside of your knee. The MCL is on the inside of your knee. And I had a partial tear in high school. I was very fortunate. When I went to the orthopedist, they were like, it's a partial tear. You're young. It will heal itself. And it did, which is super cool. But as a result, I just remember them saying at 16, you have to take very good care of your knees, which as a 16-year-old, you're like, whatever. But at 42, I'm like, I can feel my knees if I don't wear the right shoes, and tennis shoes, especially with working out and walking. And I like to walk every single day. And the Brooks tennis shoes, I have no knee pain when I wear them. I've also gotten my husband on board, my dad on board, my mom. They all now wear Brooks tennis shoes. And yes, they're a little more expensive, but here's my hack for that. Nordstrom Rack sells Brooks tennis shoes for probably about half the price. And I don't need the newest, latest, greatest. And I'm not stuck on any specific style of Brooks. I have found most of the styles work for me. And so I will get mine at Nordstrom Rack. And I'm actually due to go get some this week to update because I flipped my shoes over and the treads of the bottom of my shoe are wearing off from so much use, which is great. So I get a new pair around every 6 months. And what's crazy is I can always kind of tell when I need a new pair of shoes because my knees start to feel just a little achy. Like, oh, the shoes are kind of wearing out. And it's crazy that happens. And then I get a new pair, no pain. So Brooks tennis shoes, I'm telling you, I can't stop telling people about it. I've converted a bunch of my family. They're great. And if you want to try out a pair, go to Nordstrom Rack. They have both men's and women's. That's where Scott and I both get them now. Okay. Number 8 is Tatcha face cream. This Saving Graces episode is a lot of products. It just is interesting what I choose every time. I kind of just add things as I go. Um, okay, and I will tell you, Tatcha face cream, I got it at Sephora on my birthday because I turned 42. And it's funny to me how in tune the next generation is with just their face and care. I mean, I didn't wash my face for years, and here my daughter has a better regimen than I ever did, right? The only reason I ever started was because I saw the wrinkles start to appear on my face. So I went to Sephora. But it's kind of like you walk in there and you just feel super overwhelmed. Like everybody knows what everything is except for me. I'm not the target demographic. But here's something really cool that you might not know about Sephora is if you ask a sales associate, yes, your daughter will cringe. It's fine. She'll be fine. But if you ask them to do a little face test, they take their scanner thing that looks like, the checkout little scanner, but it's got a camera and there's an app and they get it close to your face and they test your face and it will tell you the kinds of products that you need. And I thought it was a total scam. I was like, this is not going to work. But she came up with this Tatcha face cream. And I was like, of course, it's the most expensive face cream or more expensive than I've ever paid. Let's just be honest. People say I'm cheap. I like to use the word thrifty or frugal, but whatever. Okay, but the cool thing about this product that I do like is that it has inserts. So I bought the pot of the cream, but the next time I go in, I don't have to buy the whole exterior again. I just buy like the insert. Does that make sense? I think Drunk Elephant, my daughter likes that brand. They do something very similar where you can just buy the insert to stick into the little bowl or whatever. But Tatcha face cream is inspired by Japanese skincare by its founder who was over there and researched. But I'm telling you, I put it on my face. It is delightful. I had tried La Roche-Posay because that came highly recommended to me and my skin did not like it. So I switched to this. And again, I'm telling you, I love the Tatcha, but I don't want you to go in blindly. I also think if you're not sure that skincare test that they do at Sephora is not overrated, or at least it hasn't been for me, it was super helpful. And then they keep it on file. So if you need to go in, they have all that information. But I love the Tatcha face cream. It's the most expensive face cream I've ever used. But here's the thing. And I don't have any beef with anybody that does it, but I haven't done Botox and I haven't done any laser treatments. My face is what it is at 42, but I also want to take care of it. And so spending a little more money, taking care of it. And I'm even touching, if you're watching on YouTube, like it's just like dewy and soft and just, it's lovely. So there you go. Saving grace. Number 9. Okay. This is a yard game that my son introduced us to, and it's called bucket golf. And a couple of weeks ago, he's been earning money mowing lawns, and so he decided he wanted to buy it for the family, which I thought was great. So sweet of him. And he wanted it for his friends. And it's basically these pop-up buckets. Think of like a pop-up hamper, but it's a pop-up bucket. And then almost like those little poles that you put on um, a camping tent that kind of can they have like a bungee cord in them and you can take them apart and they fold up really flat. Does that make sense? That's how the flag in there works. So all folds up really flat into this little bag. But we got the 3-hole set and it is so fun. It almost looks like Goofy Golf. The golf clubs are literally probably 3 or 4 times the regular size of the golf club. And they twist so you can make them longer or shorter, which is great. And it comes with 6 colored balls, so 6 people can play. You can buy add-ons. And so far, there aren't too many knockoffs because this was made by a small business, which I love. I love the ingenuity of a small business. Like Spike Ball, right? That was a small business and there was knockoffs, all those sorts of things. Anyway, it's called Bucket Golf. And I just updated the boys, teen, and tween gift guide for Christmas on our website. And this is included because it has been so fun. I'm always looking for ways to connect with my kids in fun ways. And this is it. So if you have teenagers, this is a great gift for them. It's a great way to connect with them. It was a saving grace that we could connect as a family. And everybody from Quincy to Scott and I and everybody in between, and my parents included, all could play, and it was super fun. So a great bridge the generations. And, we're getting together more in the fall. So that's a great option. My mom wants to buy it to take with us to Florida when we get together at Thanksgiving. She loved it so much. So there you go. Every generation loved it. And it's called bucket golf. I'll link it in the show notes. Okay, and last but not least, my last saving grace is choose your own adventure dinner. Okay, so when the kids were little on Sunday nights, we used to do snack tray supper. And if you followed me for a long time, you know about snack tray supper. It was similar to choose your own adventure, but with more mom's parameters, right? Because I would get a big old tray. It was the IKEA cream tray back in the day. I don't know what happened to that tray actually. It's disappeared. But anyway, that's not neither here nor there. And I would just put bits and bobs, like leftover vegetables and fruit and crackers and whatever I could find. I'd stick it on the tray. We'd eat the tray in the family room watching something on TV as a family. And that worked great for years because on Sunday nights, we would always eat a big meal for lunch on Sunday, and then I would always go grocery shopping back in the day on Monday mornings while the kids were in preschool and stuff. And so this was a great way to clean out the fridge, get rid of things. And the kids loved it because, they just got to eat off of a tray in the family room on the ground. Well, now that my kids are older, we still do big family lunch on Sunday, which I love because during the week we don't always get everybody around the table, but we do on Sunday at lunch. And then we do choose your own adventure meal that night. Now I get groceries on Sunday usually, but there still are like the leftovers from the weekend and bits and bobs. And basically now, because everybody's pretty much capable with help from mom and dad, to choose their own adventure. So if you want cereal for dinner, great. If you want to have breakfast for dinner and you want to make it yourself, great. If you want a frozen pizza for dinner, great. Leftovers, great. Whatever you want to make, because we've already had our big meal. So this is kind of just like whatever you want. Sometimes we'll pull all the leftovers out, just like put all the lids off and say, choose your own adventure. But seriously, my kids will always say this is their favorite meal of the week, which always makes me question why I try so hard with meal planning. But it's special. And again, we still will eat in front of the TV on Sunday night. It's kind of a fun family tradition, super simple, something different. I think that's why my kids like it. So if you're looking for a way to clean out your fridge, I totally recommend snack tray supper or choose your own adventure, depending on the age of your kids. But it's a saving grace. It's a favorite family tradition and ritual. And it just makes us happy and it cleans out the fridge. So it's like multi-purpose, which is great. So there you have it. This season's 10 saving graces. Phone alarms. Every kid has their own laundry basket. The interlibrary loan and my save for later list on Amazon. Finding white space for my brain to breathe. Decluttering bin for all of those things that need a space to go so they don't add clutter. 1-to-1 baking flour by Bob's Red Mill, and Brooks tennis shoes, my Tatcha face cream, the yard game called Bucket Golf, and Choose Your Own Adventure Meal. There are my 10 simple saving graces. And if you liked this episode, again, I share more saving graces every single week in my weekly email called the Saturday Scroll, which is meant to be a letter from me to you, friend to friend, catching you up on all of the things. And it's meant to be drunk with coffee on a Saturday morning and super simple. So you can go to simplepurposefulliving.com/email to sign up for that Saturday scroll. And I will also put the link to last season's simple saving graces in the show notes below. But I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it sparked a tiny tweak in your mind, or maybe a saving grace that you didn't really think about that flew under the radar, but you're like, yeah, actually, that does help me. Because remember, awareness is our superpower. The more that we can become aware of the things that help us, the more we can be intentional about pursuing those things, which brings our life into alignment and helps us to love the life that we have in the season of life that we are. So until next time, remember, you don't have to overhaul your life to love it when one tiny tweak will do. What is that tiny tweak? that you can make this week that will make your life 100 times easier, better, or more joyful. All right, friends, see you later. If you liked this episode, it would mean so much if you'd share it with a friend or leave a quick rating and review so others can find our show. Until next time, you can find me at Simple Purposeful Living on Instagram and Facebook.